So, as we continue our conversation about the occult, there was a particular painting that my parents had. My parents had an eclectic collection of paintings because they had 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in hell, I guess. I don't know. They didn't have another foot to put in heaven, I suppose. Yeah, we had a form of religion. My communion candle, it's like, oh, my baptism candle, it's like, well, when you were 1 year old, we whatever. I don't know what the heck was going on, but I know my baptism candle was gathering dust. But this horrible painting was right in the center of our living room. And I was left alone in the house a lot, which I don't mind being left alone. I still don't mind. I mean, I'd rather not be alone, but if I have to be, I'm used to it. This horrible painting would leer at me. And nothing against sinister, most evil-looking totem pole you could possibly imagine. And anybody who has previously, in previous decades, visited my parents' house knows about this horrible picture. It was like the center of our living room. It was like the centerpiece of the living room. It's like so weird. It's like, why would you? It's like you've got pictures of like trees and I mean, I remember my mom had this beautiful little slate plaque. It said, "Stop and smell the roses," and it had like these dried flowers on it as soon as you walked in the door. But then when you got in the living room, here's that horrible demonic satanic totem pole staring at you. I was really scared of that picture, but I thought, well, I have to be open-minded. I don't know really what my parents were thinking when they hung up that picture. It scared the shit out of me. It really scared the shit out of me numerous times, more times than I care to remember. But one time my friend Troy, whose father actually owned a grocery store. I mean, I had wealthy friends back in the day. I was talking to him on the telephone when it was costly to call somebody long distance out of your area code. That's how far back this goes. And we had the dial phone. I love the dial. Ooh, it was so satisfying. Dial, 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 dial. I love that, but I miss it. Anyway, I was talking to him. All of a sudden, I was looking at that picture. And it was like flashing lightning out of its eyes at me, and I was so scared. I was scared. I'm like, oh, Troy, okay. I felt like I was having a seizure or a heart attack for a second. I'm like, I don't know if Troy remembers that. I don't even know. Like, I'm sure he's married and whatever. He has kids. I haven't, because my parents moved out of that school district long ago after they were divorced. I could tell you his last name, but I wouldn't want to, violate his privacy, so I won't do it. But yes, Landon's IGA. Yes. You see, I did have a friend who had a wealthy father, a well-to-do. See, I am not making stuff up all the time. This is not just coming out of the top of my hat or out of my shoes. And anyway, so I was Troy was a good friend of mine, but it's like, it was almost like the devil thought, well, once she makes friends with somebody whose family is prominent, she's probably going to somehow promote the gospel someday because she'll have the money to do it, so we have to mess this up with a divorce. So, that's what Satan did. But he also threatened me in a dream. I'm telling you, folks, he threatened me in a dream. It's like I had a dream when I was just a little girl. Possibly not that long after talking to Troy. And that picture himself or itself was leaving me threatening notes in the cabinet in our kitchen. I mean, you think I'm crazy, but I know it really happened. I don't just make stuff up. I mean, why should I? I mean, there's little in my life that's actually interesting, so I have to, at least share a few interesting anecdotes. Other than that, Okay, the other night. What happened the other night, Erica? Well, the picture never got me, and eventually was sold. It used to hang in my parents' bedroom. That creepy, extremely creepy, satanic looking. I'm sorry, not putting down native or totem poles or culture or anything like that, but this was a creepy. This was like leering right at you with eyes that looked directly at you and would follow you around the room, like this picture I have of Christopher Columbus. But I don't think he's really demonic. I just feel like, oh God, he was so creepy. It's like, well, it suddenly disappeared. We sold that, and I always felt like that there was a demonic force contained within that picture. I mean, that's how I feel. I could be wrong. There was something demonic, at least in the artist's inspiration, because it was the most horrible, most demonic, most terrible 1970s kitsch attitude about the whole thing. It was like 1970s kitsch. It kind of looked like, when you saw lamps from the 70s when they were all carved and wooden. I mean, that's kind of what it looked like, but it had this evil leer to it, this evil grin, and then eyes that would never look away from you, no matter what part of the room you stood in. It was always looking at you. I'm telling you. So anyway, the picture disappeared. And nobody ever gave me any explanation of why it had disappeared, but I know it must have been creeping somebody out. I don't know, I think my mom really liked that picture for whatever reason. She never mind. So yeah, the other night for some reason I was kind of scared, but I mean, I'm trying not to be scared, folks. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and feel like Satan is lurking around the corner, because if I watch these occult shows, I know that there is a kingdom of darkness. How can I warn people without, while at the same time being impervious? Because I know that the kingdom of darkness has done some very, very bad things to my family. Like, for example, my brother. All right, let's use him for another example. My parents were pretty much like, they just were very irreligious, although my mother had a form of religion. She supposedly was Catholic, and she forced my brother to be Catholic and all that. But, at the same time, he's playing Magic the Gathering and probably Dungeons and Dragons. And I have a daughter, and she said, well, don't worry, Mom, just because I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons doesn't mean I'm turning to Satan. And then it wasn't very long after that our relationship fell apart. I mean, she could say it's because I'm a bitch, which, I'm really not, but she brought it out of me, because it's like, I won't abide, satanic people living in my house. I just can't. I can't stand it. I will not have anything to do with it, because she would spend hours in her room playing games where she's killing people. It's like, I never wanted to play games where I'm killing people. Are you kidding me? At all. I hate that stuff. It makes me shudder and cringe. I know, to the very fiber of my being, it disturbs me. But she says, well, you got to put people in a dungeon. It's not really that bad. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm glad you're gone. Thank God you're gone, because you might kill me eventually. Yeah. No, I am ready to contend with the powers of darkness, but God, give me strength, because my brother ended up killing himself. He ended up committing suicide. He said, I'm an atheist. And in case you don't know, you can fact check this right now. Silver Cipher, I will put this in the comments if you want to check it out. So some sort of a crazy woman just rambling on incoherently or making things up. I hate that people don't take me seriously. That's what bothers me the most, that people do not take me seriously sometimes. Yes, my brother was the lead singer of Silver Cypher.
How do you spell Silver Cypher?
Well, you'd spell silver Silvar. Cypher. Cypher. He said, well, it's Arabic for zero or something. He got hooked up with people from Dubai or, whatevs. I don't give a fuck. The guy is dead. The guy became an atheist or an agnostic at some point, but I don't blame the people from Dubai. I blame Satan. And, I don't know if my brother is in purgatory or hell. I don't know. I really don't think he's in heaven, but maybe we can get him out of purgatory. If we're Catholic enough, we might be able to pray him out to purgatory. It's just awful. A kid who was making six figures in his early 30s and maybe even his late 20s, he was making at least $100,000 a year doing computer stuff. And now he's dead. For what is he dead? He was a sacrifice to Satan. I think he killed himself I know we have the summer solstice or something. He probably killed himself then, or the spring equinox or something. It's not funny, I know, but I have to laugh at somebody who's so stupid to do that, because he doesn't know what he did to my parents. He ushered in my mother's early death. And so if you don't think that religion is important, if you don't take the occult and the satanic realm seriously, then fuck you to hell, because that's where you're going to go next. And I don't wish that for you at all. God bless you and help you and save you. Amen.